Elon Musk didn't see it coming, and when it hit hard. It wasn't Ford, it wasn't China, it was Nissan. Quiet, precise, and devastating. While Elon was chasing headlines and hyping futures that never arrived, Nissan was building something real, and now they've dropped an electric vehicle so disruptive it didn't just challenge Tesla, it made it look obsolete. What did Nissan unleash that rattled Elon on stage? How did one of Japan's most underestimated automakers land the cleanest shot in EV history? And could this be the moment the Tesla empire begins to crumble right in plain sight? What's happening? For nearly 20 years, Elon Musk's Tesla moved like a wildfire. Fast, loud, and impossible to ignore. It was all or nothing. Burn the bridge behind you, break the rules, and dare the world to keep up. And for a time, that strategy worked. Tesla became the most valuable automaker on Earth, despite producing only a fraction of the vehicles that legacy brands like Toyota and Nissan did. But while Tesla raced ahead, something quieter was unfolding in the background. Toyota was playing a different game, a slower, deeper, and far more dangerous one. While Elon was making bold stage announcements and smashing cyber truck windows with steel balls, Nissan was pouring billions into solid-state battery research. They weren't seeking attention, they were building leverage. While Tesla focused on press coverage and quarterly delivery targets, Nissan was securing long-term supply contracts and building out advanced R&D labs in Japan, the United States, and Europe. Nissan's observed the chaos of early EV adoption and began working on the next chapter, one that would render Tesla's head start meaningless. Elon bet on speed, Japan bet on endurance, and now that bet was paying off. Elon's flashy product rollouts masked an ugly truth. Tesla's real breakthroughs had stalled. Meanwhile, Toyota and Nissan had been stockpiling their breakthroughs like ammunition, waiting for the exact moment the market was ready. This was a long game in full motion. And the irony? Elon had trained the world to expect innovation. But now that expectation was being fulfilled, just not by him. And Nissan was sharpening the blade that would strike next. Tesla thought it was alone at the top, but now the giants have woken up, and they're not here to collaborate. They're here to conquer. Tesla's crumbling machines. The first cracks weren't loud. They showed up as whispers. A door that didn't close right, a bumper that popped off in the rain, a touchscreen that froze during a snowstorm. But soon those whispers turned into a chorus of complaints, refunds, angry Reddit threads, and viral YouTube videos. Tesla, once praised as the tech-savvy disruptor of the automotive world, had become infamous for its growing list of quality control failures. Customers who once lined up to place their deposits were now warning others not to make the same mistake. From misaligned panels and faulty paint to moisture getting trapped in taillights, Tesla vehicles began to carry a reputation, not for innovation, but for inconsistency. The phrase "Tesla fit and finish" went from a point of pride to a running joke in car forums across the internet. Worse still, Tesla had built its brand on the idea that high tech would replace high standards. The move away from physical controls toward a touchscreen-only interface was supposed to feel futuristic. But for many drivers, it quickly became a liability. Simple actions like adjusting the climate or turning on the windshield wipers now required navigating multiple on-screen menus. While driving, what was once hailed as sleek minimalism began to feel like needless complexity. While Tesla owners struggled with system crashes and frozen screens, Nissan and Toyota vehicles quietly continued doing what they had always done: work. There were no dramatic reveals or live stream unveilings of new door handles, just precision engineering, tight panel gaps, intuitive interiors, and customer satisfaction scores that made Tesla's numbers look like an afterthought. Toyota, in particular, had built its legacy on reliability. Nissan, while slower in EV adoption, maintained decades of manufacturing consistency. For Tesla, these weren't just technical failures, they were symbolic. The brand had promised a revolution. Instead, customers were now posting videos of rust spots and malfunctioning door sensors just months after delivery. What was supposed to be the best car in the world now looked and felt like a beta product released too early. But inside Tesla headquarters, things were falling apart even faster. We dug through patents, investor calls, and manufacturing leaks to get this story right. If you want the truth behind the headlines, hit subscribe. When Tesla turned on itself. If the public saw Tesla as shaky, inside the company it felt like an earthquake. Engineers who had once been loyal were jumping ship, some moving to legacy automakers, others lured away by Toyota, Nissan, and even Chinese manufacturers like Build Your Dreams. The revolving door of talent turned faster with each passing quarter. Mass layoffs were happening without warning. One day, a department was humming along. The next, next, it was gone. Workers described a culture of fear, burnout, and brutal deadlines imposed by executives desperate to ship software that wasn't ready or deliver vehicles that hadn't passed inspection. Whistleblowers began speaking out about safety concerns, rushed production timelines, and a toxic environment fueled by unrealistic expectations. Leadership turnover made matters worse. High-level executives left, some quietly, others with public statements. The people who once helped shape Tesla's rise were being replaced with loyalists, cost-cutters, or in some cases, no one at all. The company that had once felt like a revolutionary startup began to resemble a chaotic empire held together by branding and desperation. Morale among rank-and-file employees plummeted. Some described their time at Tesla as a hostage situation. Others took buyouts just to escape the stress. What had once been the most exciting workplace in the world had become one of the most unstable. And the outside world was starting to notice. The market's turning point. Wall Street backs away. Tesla was the crown jewel of the stock market. It wasn't just a car company. It was a tech company, an energy company, a movement. But stock prices don't lie forever. By late 2024, the cracks in the narrative started spreading. Deliveries slowed. Production targets were missed. The hype machine sputtered. Investors who had once cheered every Musk tweet began questioning the fundamentals. Where were the profits? Where was the execution? Analyst downgrades began to roll in. Hedge funds that had once worshipped Musk were quietly dumping their shares. The same institutions that helped fuel Tesla's meteoric rise were now hedging against its fall. Compare that to Toyota and Nissan. Their stocks weren't exciting. They didn't make headlines, but they were steady. Consistent earnings, predictable growth, global manufacturing power, and now solid-state battery dominance. In a market looking for safe bets, boring suddenly looked brilliant. Tesla, meanwhile, became volatile. The stock yo-yoed with every earnings call, every software delay, every public tantrum from its CEO. What had once been the ultimate growth stock was now being treated like a speculative gamble. And that's when Japan fired the first real shot, the battery that ends the game. For years, the electric vehicle world had one accepted truth. Lithium-ion was king. Its limitations were well known. Long charging times, limited lifespan, expensive materials. But it was the best the industry could manage. Every automaker, including Tesla, accepted these trade-offs. Some worked to improve charging speeds, others focused on range. But none dared challenge the foundation itself. That is, until Nissan and Toyota did what everyone else said was impossible. They changed the battery altogether. The breakthrough didn't come with fanfare. There was no dramatic keynote, no Twitter countdown, no glass-smashing stunt. It came quietly in the form of solid-state battery technology, an evolution so profound it made lithium-ion look like coal-fired steam. These new batteries weren't just a marginal improvement. They were a quantum leap. They could fully charge in under 10 minutes. They could last for more than 30 years without degrading. They were safer, with no risk of thermal runaway or combustion. And they required fewer rare earth materials, making them both cheaper and more sustainable to manufacture. While the West debated range anxiety, Toyota and Nissan quietly perfected the solution behind closed doors. Toyota's research facilities in Japan spent years refining the solid-state formula, minimizing dendrite formation, stabilizing lithium metal interfaces, and solving the thermal management puzzle that had stumped battery engineers for over a decade. Nissan, meanwhile, developed the platform integration strategy, building a vehicle architecture optimized for solid-state efficiency and manufacturing scalability. Together, the two Japanese giants cracked the code, and when they unveiled the working prototype, it didn't just outperform Tesla, it humiliated it. Tesla's batteries were now slower, weaker, and less durable by every measure. And worse, there was no quick fix. Transitioning to solid state required rethinking everything from the cell format to the battery management system to the entire thermal architecture of the vehicle. Tesla wasn't ready. In fact, Tesla wasn't even close. Elon Musk had dismissed solid state as overhyped vaporware just a year earlier. But now it was here. It was real, and it worked. And Tesla, still stuck in the lithium-ion past. The factory empire Tesla will never match. Even the best battery in the world means nothing if you can't build it at scale. That's where most companies fail. Prototypes are easy. Mass production is brutal. The manufacturing floor is where hype meets reality, and it's where Toyota and Nissan reign supreme. While Tesla was busy live streaming product reveals and rushing to meet arbitrary delivery deadlines, Japan was doing what it always does best, building quietly, relentlessly, and globally. Toyota, already the world's largest automaker by volume, had spent decades mastering lean manufacturing. Their global supply chain is a work of industrial art, one where every supplier is vetted, every process is streamlined, and every second counts. Nissan, though slightly smaller, brings similar discipline, with factories from Yokohama to Tennessee that operate with surgical efficiency. When it came time to produce solid-state electric vehicles, Japan didn't need to scramble. They simply adapted. Production lines were already optimized for modular flexibility. Workforce training was already underway. Supply agreements for raw materials were already signed. Tesla, by contrast, was struggling to keep up with its own delivery schedule. Gigafactories that were promised in under a year took 2 or more to complete. Some opened partially, others operated below capacity. Delays became routine. Vehicles sat undelivered. Battery constraints slowed production. And most painfully of all, Tesla lacked the global supply infrastructure to pivot quickly into new formats like solid state. What Toyota and Nissan did was simple but devastating. They proved they could build the future and build it in volume, not just thousands of units, millions, on every continent, with established dealer networks, robust service support, and consistent quality control. And the numbers didn't lie. Their cost per vehicle began to drop, assembly times decreased, and economies of scale kicked in almost instantly. They weren't just building faster, they were building cheaper. Nissan's dead silent strike. While the world obsessed over Tesla's next big reveal, Nissan launched a full-scale electric vehicle offensive, and almost nobody noticed until it was too late. There were no flashy keynotes, no dramatic AI voiceovers, no Elon, just new models quietly rolling into showrooms across Asia, Europe, and eventually North America. And once buyers saw the price tag, they realized this wasn't a prototype, it wasn't hype, it was a coup. Nissan's rollout of solid-state vehicles blindsided the market not because the technology was surprising, but because the company moved without making a sound. They bypassed the press cycle entirely. No cryptic tweets, no pre-orders, just products, real, drivable, affordable EVs. And the result was a direct hit to Tesla's most vulnerable flank, market share. The cornerstone of this silent ambush was Nissan's deep alliance with Renault and Mitsubishi. For years, the three automakers had quietly shared platforms, suppliers, and production facilities. But now they were executing a unified mission: get high-range, low-cost electric vehicles into every major market before Tesla could even flinch. And they pulled it off with ruthless precision. In Europe, where EV incentives and infrastructure are far more advanced than in the US, Nissan's new lineup began siphoning Tesla's midsize customers within weeks. In Southeast Asia, where affordability is everything, Nissan's models outsold Tesla by more than 3 to 1. And in North America, where old-school dealerships still hold the keys to volume sales, Nissan's broad footprint gave buyers a clear advantage. They could walk in, see the car, test it, and drive away. Tesla's online-only direct-to-consumer model just couldn't compete with that. While Elon was still on stage talking about what's next, Nissan was already delivering what's now. And while Tesla scrambles to respond, Japan's already in every showroom. Why the wait was the weapon. Critics accused Toyota and Nissan of moving too slowly. While Tesla broke ground with the Model S, Toyota was still pushing hybrids. While Elon announced million-mile batteries and solar roofs, Nissan quietly maintained its Leaf program, with only incremental updates. Industry analysts claim Japan was falling behind, stuck in the past, unwilling to fully commit to the electric revolution. They were wrong. The Japanese weren't behind. They were waiting for the hype to settle, for the tech to mature, and most of all, for the public to grow tired of broken promises and half-baked features. By 2024, that moment had arrived. Consumer fatigue had set in. Buyers were exhausted by software bugs, frustrated by slow charging, and disillusioned by price hikes. The early adopters had bought in, but the mainstream wanted something different, something dependable. That's when Toyota and Nissan struck. Their vehicles didn't promise 1,000 new features. They promised reliability, affordability, comfort, and most importantly, they worked. By timing their entry around EV fatigue, Japan didn't just launch new cars. They took the entire mid-market away from Tesla. While Elon fought battles on Twitter and tried to slash prices to compete, Nissan and Toyota offered something far more dangerous: trust. Tesla made people excited. Japan made people feel safe. And when you're buying your next car, not your first, that matters more than hype ever could. And now the knockout blow isn't just technical, it's economic. The EV price war that Tesla can't afford. The war Elon Musk never wanted to fight has officially begun. And this time, it's not about who builds the fastest car or the most futuristic dashboard. It's about survival. When Nissan and Toyota announced their new electric vehicles priced under $20,000, it wasn't just a headline. It was a direct hit to the very heart of Tesla's business model. The moment those prices hit the public, Tesla's illusion of affordability shattered. Because here's the truth. Tesla can't fight a price war without cutting its own throat. Tesla's entire identity has always been about selling premium electric dreams. Cars that look sleek, go fast, and cost more than most people's annual salary. That model worked when the only alternatives were clunky, underdeveloped electric vehicles from hesitant legacy automakers. But Nissan and Toyota just changed the entire equation. These aren't stripped-down compliance cars. They're full-featured, solid-state powered, and designed for the global middle class. They look good, they drive better, and most importantly, they're priced for reality, not fantasy. For years, Tesla's profit margins per car were among the highest in the industry. While companies like Toyota and Honda made around $1,000 per vehicle, Tesla sometimes pulled in over $8,000. That margin is what allowed Elon to fund his ambitious tech ventures, pay for over-the-air updates, and underwrite his grand vision of a fully autonomous future. But those margins came with a price: exclusivity. Tesla never had a true mass-market vehicle. The promised $25,000 Model 2 never arrived. The Cybertruck is still crawling through limited deliveries. And now, with Japan flooding the market with reliable, affordable EVs, Tesla can't simply slash prices to compete. If they do, those famous margins evaporate overnight. And it gets worse. Tesla's vertically integrated model, once hailed as revolutionary, is actually working against them now. Unlike Toyota, which can leverage massive scale and partnerships across Asia, Tesla is burdened by a proprietary supply chain that was built for premium pricing. Their gigafactories are optimized for volume, yes, but volume at high margin, not budget scale. Battery costs, raw material sourcing, and delivery logistics become exponentially harder to control when margins thin out. It's the same reason why tech companies rarely build cheap phones. They simply weren't designed for it. Tesla attempted to respond with price cuts to the Model 3 and Model Y, but that only revealed the weakness they tried to hide. Customers who bought Teslas just months before saw their vehicles' value plunge, resale values drop, loyalty wavered, and suddenly what was once a luxury brand felt like a desperate one. Meanwhile, Toyota and Nissan didn't just launch cheaper vehicles, they launched better ones: solid-state batteries, sub-10-minute charging, high safety scores, low maintenance needs. These cars weren't just affordable, they were aspirational. So now Tesla is stuck. They can't go cheaper without going bankrupt. They can't go premium without losing market share. And worst of all, they've already trained their customer base to expect lower prices. The trap has closed, and while Tesla panics, Japan is already signing deals, selling cars, and taking the future. But the war wasn't just being lost in showrooms. It was being lost in full view of the world, one tweet at a time. The fall of the icon. Not long ago, a single message from Elon Musk could send shockwaves through Wall Street and Silicon Valley alike. His words were treated as gospel, etching blueprints for tomorrow. But that golden age has faded. Today, Musk's public persona threatens to overshadow Tesla's technological triumphs. The unraveling began in earnest with the acquisition of Twitter in 2022. What was billed as a daring pivot quickly became a quagmire of moderation controversies, mass layoffs, and an unending stream of contentious remarks dominating global headlines. While Musk battled content policy firestorms and celebrity feuds, Tesla's factories hummed on, but without their leaders' full attention. In boardrooms and trading floors alike, unease grew. Investors growled as the S&P 500 reflected Musk's restless distractions. Tesla's share price swung on every salvo of his ex-posts, once a sign of influence, now a barometer of chaos. Regulators probed autopilot claims and safety complaints mounted. Each fresh inquiry felt like another crack in the facade of invincibility. On social media, adoring crowds gave way to caricatures. Memes casting Musk as a capricious jester circulated faster than any product launch teaser. Tech writers who once lauded his ambition now questioned his judgment. Even longtime shareholders hedged their bets, funneling capital toward more stable rivals. Toyota and Volkswagen seized the moment, advancing solid-state batteries and charging networks, while Chinese champions like BYD quietly expanded their global footprint. Tesla, once synonymous with record-setting range and cutting-edge design, risked becoming a cautionary footnote. Its narrative hijacked by Musk's personal vendettas, tangling with regulators, mocking scientists, and waging online political warfare. His passion for innovation was drowned out by headlines chronicling the latest stunt. Ironically, many of Tesla's most significant milestones, advances in battery chemistry, hidden software breakthroughs, new gigafactories humming to life, unfolded without fanfare. Yet in Musk's absence, buried beneath tweets and theatrics, those technical victories went unnoticed. Now, policymakers and industry leaders are recalibrating allegiances. Incentives flow toward competitors with coherent roadmaps, and a new generation of electric vehicles is emerging. Musk's chapter as an unassailable visionary is closing, replaced by a more precarious story, one where the hero's flaws unravel the empire he built. What comes next is anyone's guess, but one thing is indisputable. Musk's era of untouchable charisma has given way to an age of accountability. Tesla will endure, but its future no longer hinges on a single man's outsized persona. Governments flipped the switch. It began with silence. No more praise from Washington. No more Tesla photo ops with European ministers. And then the silence turned into something louder. Withdrawal. One by one, the governments that once held Tesla up as the golden child of clean transportation began to shift. And at the center of that shift, Japan. Subsidies that were once earmarked for Tesla's vehicles began disappearing. In the United States, tax credit eligibility tightened, and Tesla's higher-priced models no longer qualified. In Europe, emissions credit programs began rewarding automakers like Toyota and Nissan for their cleaner production practices and more sustainable sourcing. In Asia, government-backed infrastructure programs began favoring Japanese partnership over Tesla's direct-to-consumer model. It wasn't overt sabotage, it was surgical redirection. Regulators were also waking up to Tesla's long list of broken promises. Full self-driving software that never quite arrived, safety claims that didn't hold up under scrutiny, and battery recycling programs that failed to scale. These weren't just missed targets, they were liabilities. Lawmakers who once cited Tesla in green policy discussions were now using it as an example of what not to do. Meanwhile, Toyota and Nissan had something Tesla never truly mastered: political diplomacy. Their decades-long relationships with governments, local suppliers, and international trade bodies gave them leverage Tesla lacked. As global EV standards emerged, Japan was suddenly sitting at the head of the table, and Tesla was being treated like an outsider. Perhaps most telling of all was the global trade pivot. While the United States launched new tariffs and Europe re-evaluated Chinese EV imports, Japan quietly aligned itself with both sides. Nissan signed battery sourcing deals across India and Africa. Toyota announced domestic EV scaling plans for Europe, earning billions in grants. Tesla, by contrast, faced mounting restrictions, blocked expansion in India, and skepticism in Canada. Policy had always been Tesla's secret weapon, until it wasn't. And when the political winds finally shifted, Tesla found itself isolated. But the final blow wasn't delivered in a press release. It happened behind closed doors, where it all began. The day Tesla lost the future. It wasn't loud, it wasn't public. But in a quiet boardroom, Elon Musk lost the future. Across from him, Toyota's chairman placed a USB drive on the table. No pitch, no hype, just a finished solid-state battery. 10-minute charge times, no cobalt, no rare earths. Everything Elon had promised, except this time, it was real. Koji laid it all out. Production timelines, global manufacturing partners, regulatory approvals, and dealership integration. Elon tried to poke holes, but every hole had been filled, patched, and reinforced years ago. And when Koji said, "We didn't rush because we didn't need to," the room went still. Elon knew it was over. And as Musk disappeared behind that closed boardroom door, the next chapter in automotive history was already being written without him. If this stunned you as much as it stunned Elon, drop a comment and let us know what you think. And if you want more stories they're not telling anywhere else, hit subscribe and stay ahead of the curve.